Soup sandwich. Yes. Soup sandwiches are good, though. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our main topic for today. We're talking about the IPRF Rimfire Worlds. We've got Russ. Russ was one of the members of Team Canada. Glad you could join us, Russ.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So we have a couple of questions about this Rimfire Worlds. First off, this is a Rimfire Precision Series kind of an event. Is that correct?
It's So the IPRF is the international governing body, and there are national bodies. So Canada has CAPRA, the Canadian Precision Rifle Association, and each of those national bodies gets to select their roster of shooters to go and attend the World Championships, which was just held last weekend in Perugia, Italy.
Ah, gotcha.
And this
So
was
that was the world.
first world event, correct?
So this was the first Rimfire. Yeah, there was a
Sorry, yeah.
Centerfire event last year in France, which we sent a couple of Canadians to, I believe.
Interesting. Okay. How'd you qualify for it?
So Capra ran a selection process, and we didn't really have time to run the normal types of qualifier events that we would ordinarily do, because by the time the event was announced and selections had to be done, it was kind of winter, and so not the easiest time to start doing nationwide qualifiers. So what we were asked to do was submit scores from significant matches from the last 2 years. So everyone submitted their top 5 scores, and those were used to determine who would send in each of the various divisions.
Nice.
Yeah, good a selection criteria as any. So I guess for that you would have been submitting from ORPS events, CRPS events, maybe like Western, like what other
Northern
events do we have here in
Rimfire.
Canada? Northern Rimfire.
So it wasn't limited to Canadian events. So for instance, I submitted my events from the qualifier in Pennsylvania, from the nationals in Texas. So and I believe that the larger the match, the more weighting it got in the selection criteria.
Got it. So I think all of us have been to precision match or like a rimfire match. How did the worlds compare to like a local event?
It was tough. I'll be honest. It was probably the toughest match I've ever faced. A few things were significant. One, the times were short. So every stage 90 seconds. We're normally used to 120-second par times for CRPS matches, or a minute 45 in a lot of the Northern Rimfire or PRS matches. So 90 seconds was the shortest we've seen. The target sizes were small. So everything was around 0.6 mils wide, or 2
Wow.
to 2.1 MOA. Distances were the majority of targets were from 110 to 150-ish yards. There were a few that were shorter, a few that were longer, but that was the majority of the targets. So you're looking at 3-inch targets at 150 yards.
With the 22. Oh, that's crazy. In terms of the props and that kind of thing.
So props were rock solid, but there was a lot of positions, a lot of movements. So there were stages that nobody cleaned. Most people didn't even complete. So for instance, you'd have a stage, like I remember stage V, which was the first stage I shot on day 2, had 6 positions, basically a ladder. So 4 rungs on the ladder, you had to take 2 shots from each at, I'm going to say a 2-inch target at 110 yards approximately. And then you had 2 more shots from prone on the left of the ladder, and 2 more shots from prone on the right of the ladder, or from the right of the ladder at a 218-yard target. So I got 10 of the shots off. I got 8 hits, and that was apparently good. So
Wow.
I think the best score, I saw a couple of shooters get 10 hits. One got only 10 shots off, but got 10 hits. One got all 12 shots off and got 10 hits. But that nobody cleaned it. Nobody even came close to cleaning it.
Tough. Sounds well. I mean, that's good though, because if it was too easy, there wouldn't be as much separation between like the excellent shooters and the very good shooters and the good shooters, right?
Yeah, I'd say that the degree of difficulty was absolutely appropriate for the caliber of shooters that were there. And these were like I've had the benefit of shooting with a lot of the Canadian teams. So seven of the 12 I knew, right? Or I guess I'm one of those seven. So there were seven from Ontario that that I've shot with a lot. There's a bunch from the US, at least the ones from the Northeast, and a couple that were at nationals last year that I had a chance to shoot with. So yeah, a lot of really, really good shooters. That was outstanding about.
How are the conditions over those 4 days?
You know what? Couldn't have asked for better weather. The days leading up to the competition were actually terrible. The winds were bad, rainy as anything. And for the 4 days that we were shooting, we had really like nice conditions, sunny and bright. Not strong winds, but the challenging part was that they changed directions pretty much every 30 seconds. So when you're shooting a 90-second stage and you have to make 4 different wind calls, it's yeah, pretty tough. But the last day the winds picked up a little bit more, so the guys who had to shoot on day 4 had a bit of a tougher job than on the other 3 days.
Always just the luck of the draw with that kind of stuff, right? Like,
well,
the way they couldn't.
To be really fair to everybody, each division pretty much shot on a given day. So all of the factory and ladies divisions, factory ladies and seniors, I think shot on day 1 and day 3, and then open and junior shot on day 2 and day 4.
So within the division, yeah, you had the same conditions. That's good.
Yeah, it was fair to everybody.
That's good. Yeah. How'd the rest of the event run compared to like local events? Anything that you saw that you wanted to like kind of take away for your local matches?
Oh, well, so this was much bigger, right? So they had an opening ceremony. They had a small town nearby hosted it. There was every nation paraded in, national anthems,
Nice.
Live band there, speeches by mayor, local dignitaries, organizing body, all of that, banquet afterward. So pretty cool opening ceremony. Then the competition itself. So 18 stages, 179 shooters, 19 countries. Small army of volunteers. There were 3 officials on every stage, a range officer, a spotter, and a scorekeeper.
Okay.
Yeah. So well organized. It took a little bit. The first day there was the usual hiccups. Not everyone had the same level of experience as an official, but we got things coordinated pretty quickly. And by day 2, I'd say things were running pretty smoothly.
Okay.
Just to gauge the caliber of this, what did they have roast beef at the reception and the banquet?
Porchetta.
Oh,
yeah,
excellent.
Yep, the full full carving experience there. Yeah.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
I'm just going to assume that that's some sort of inferior Italian roast beef knockoff.
No. They serve that at good weddings. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, it was excellent. The food was great. It was a really well done event.
Good.
Amazing. How did you do during the event?
Not bad. I had a pretty good match. I had one bad stage, but the rest went really well. Wind was a challenge for everything. The bad stage, I had the battery on my electronic level failed. And it's my fault for not checking it when I started, but I got onto my first target, went to level my rifle. I'm like, oh, the lights are out. Okay. Tried to turn it on. Nope, battery's dead. And the big challenge for that particular stage I was on, it's not up a hill or down a hill, it's on a hillside. So the entire horizon is sloped over something like 15-ish degrees. And it's impossible to level your rifle just by trying to look at anything out there. So I was trying to level it off the placards or something, and anyway, didn't work. Dropped 7 points on that, and In that environment, you pretty much know that as soon as that happens, yeah, you're done. So, that was my worst stage. Everything else, I was pretty happy with.
Being like, how you do at a local event and the Canadian events, and even shooting in the US regularly, do you go into a world with any expectations, having not really seen anybody else, outside of Canada and the US shoot?
So yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense to try and to give yourself a ranking expectation, which I stupidly did anyway. I kind of said I'd like to. I set myself a goal of finishing the top 10 in the factory division. I ended up 13th, so I did not achieve the goal I set out. Yeah, close. Yeah, close doesn't cut it, right? So anyhow, my goal for any match though is to not drop what I call stupid points, right? Like the wind. Okay, that's the game, right? So if you don't read the wind right, that's part of the game. But things that I sort of consider inexcusable errors are, shooting the wrong targets, getting the sequence wrong, mental mistakes, forgetting to hold the right elevation on a shot, things like that. And so through the whatever 18 stages, 179 targets, I dropped what I would consider 2 stupid points. I forgot to hold to the right elevation. So the other, the rest of it, whatever points I missed were either just, challenging targets or, wind. So.
Okay. You said the stages were tough in terms of positions and less time. How about in sequence? Was there any like trickery, or was it pretty straightforward?
No, it was pretty straightforward in that regard. So stages would have 3, maybe 4 shooting positions, 2, 3, or maybe 2 or 3 targets per position usually, and nothing too mind blowing for any of the stages there.
Okay.
But in under the pressure there, it's pretty easy to make mistakes. I saw a lot of people get focused on wind conditions or whatever, and then get onto the barricade and immediately go to the wrong position. And what was actually really difficult here, for all of our PRS or CRPS matches here, if you make a mistake on your first shot or whatever, once you realize you're making a mistake, you figure out, okay, well, what's my third shot supposed to be? Go to that position and do it, right? That's how you get back on sequence. Here they have a different program. If you are out of sequence in the wrong position for any shot, you actually have to go back and complete that position before you can advance. Which was confusing, because let's say there's positions 1, 2, and 3, and targets 1, 2, 3, and 4 from each position. If you were supposed to start on position 1 and engage those targets, but you accidentally start on position 2, no matter how many shots you've taken, none of them are going to count until you go back to position 1, the first place you were supposed to be, and start engaging those targets. So it's pretty easy to zero a stage because you got out of sequence on one shot and didn't correct it properly. So there were a few stages that people zeroed.
Ouch.
Yeah, that would hurt.
Oh yeah. And in that environment, like the best score, there was a tie actually, first and second place tied with 165 out of 177. So over 18 stages, they dropped a total of 12 shots. If you zero a stage, you've dropped 10 shots on a single stage. You're like,
out of it completely.
You're not catching up. So.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the things that kind of struck me when I was looking at practice score for it was seeing such a wide variety of countries that people were coming from. It wasn't just like dominated by Canada or dominated by like one particular country.
The US.
Like, there was there was a wide variety of countries in there.
Yeah. So the larger squads were from the United States, Great Britain. I think they each had 22 shooters on their squad. I think the Italians had a big squad too, just because they're the host country. We sent 12. Some of the countries only sent 1 shooter. I think Spain had 1, Germany had 1. I think there were a couple of other countries that there was just one representative. Austria might have been one of those.
Yeah, saw some like Czech Republic and
Yeah.
all sorts of countries in there, which is really good to see.
Yep.
It means it's not just like, you know, like the World Championships of baseball or something like that, where it's like just the U.S.
Well,
And
the Americans did really, really well. They have, you know, a lot of depth on their team. So they had the first place finishers in both the ladies and men's division in factory. Actually, I think they had the first place individual finisher for everything, and the only team event that they didn't come first was factory team. And the Czech Republic had a spectacular performance, and just they didn't come first, but they came, I think, like second, third, and fifth or something like that, and racked up a lot of points there. So Canada, we came fifth in factory, and we came fourth in open.
Oh, excellent.
So
Still pretty
bad.
good considering the size of country we are, right?
Yeah.
And the culture. Because I mean, like the U.S. has much more of a gun culture, much more of a shooting culture and competition.
Yeah, I don't think there was any surprise that the Americans did as well as they did. The big surprise is that the Czechs beat them. That was pretty, like, a pretty solid showing on their part. You know, as far as Canada goes, we have a lot of really good shooters. I think the fact that it was a bit of late notice for, you know, when the event was sort of finalized and when we were able to do our selection. You know, there are a lot of good shooters that I know of that you know, would have done really well there if they could have made it.
I wanted to ask you about rifles. What did you see out there?
Depending on what country shooters are from. So for the Americans, so actually first let's start factory and open division. So the factory division, which I happen to be shooting in, the IPRF puts out a list of eligible rifles for factory division. And it's not the same as the list that you would see for production division here under CRPS or PRS rules. We determine eligibility really based on price. It's, you know, the production division is kind of meant to be an entry point for a lot of people, so they don't have to like blow the bank on a custom rifle. In IPRF rules, there's no price factor. Like, price doesn't matter. So there are some really high-end rifles out there that qualify as factory because they're all made by a single manufacturer, and then once you buy it, you're not allowed to modify anything on it. So
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you can buy a Voodoo and just roll in and
none of the Voodoos made the list for whatever reason. I don't know. But
they don't make their own chassis and barrel. Is that what it is?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a Voodoo guy, so I don't really know exactly the details on it. But there were three sort of really high-end rifles that were on the list. The Anschutz 1710, which yeah, that's the Masterpiece Arms Matrix Pro and the Victrix Venus. So those were the three, like, you know, the equivalent of the Porsche, the Ferrari, and the Lamborghini on the list. So Team Canada managed to get our hands on 4 Masterpiece Arms Matrix Pros. They rushed those orders for us, and so great job by Masterpiece Arms in getting those to us, and, you know, on pretty short notice, and great job by Go Big Tactical for doing the import and logistics and actually getting the rifles into our hands. I got mine 9 days before I had to fly.
9 days.
So, yep. So
the range, check what it likes.
yeah. So took it out for a couple of practice days. Fortunately, the very first ammo I tested on it just worked beautifully. It was Ely 10X. Shot absolutely great. I'm not exaggerating. The second group I put out of it was around 1/10 of an MOA. Sorry, quarter MOA, tenth of an inch at 50 yards. Nice. Just stunning.
That's still amazing. Yeah.
Took it, ran a match with it. I had the last match before we, you know, got on our flights, and definitely had my best match ever. Got my first podium finish with it. So the rifle is spectacular. Really, really happy with it. What other rifles do we see there? Saw a lot of Bergaras, just because it's Europe. Saw a lot of CZs. I think I mentioned lots of Voodoos from the US and
US, of
Canadian
course.
teams, some Rimexes. But then we actually saw a few things like a guy on my squad had a Savage. There were a couple of Ruger precision rimfires in the mix there too. So
Any
Interesting.
coups?
did not see any Kuis. No.
Imagine.
Thought Team Canada was going, didn't bring coups. Yeah, no, that sounds like. So what was the rifle you'd mentioned there? I don't know if I've heard of that one before.
The one that I was using? Yeah. So the Masterpiece Arms Matrix Pro. So Masterpiece Arms MPA is based in Georgia, and they're probably best known for their chassis, but they've been making complete rifles for a while. And for this, it's a complete rimfire rifle that they make. And some of the subcomponents are a action from Curtis Customs. The trigger is Bix and Andy, but they're all sub-licensed and branded MPA so that it qualifies as a factory rifle as opposed to like I would say that should legitimately be a custom rifle, but it's that good. But anyway, it's a factory rifle. It's on the list. So yeah, I think you got it there. So it's the Matrix Pro rimfire rifle.
Yeah, that doesn't look factory.
Yeah. Well, they knew the rules and they managed to squeeze it through the rules. So I'm really happy they did because it's outstanding.
Yeah, just like compete, just with like off the shelf, like guys running Ruger 1022s and stuff, and this.
Yeah. So we got ours with a 23-inch, heavy barrel. Comes with a tuner. I didn't adjust the tuner at all. Like right out of the box, the way it came, it shot outstandingly well. Just fantastic rifle. And the best part is without adding any external weights, which you're not allowed to do under factory rules, the only thing you can attach to the rifle other than the optic is a bipod. That's it. No other attachments, no weights, no I couldn't run like a Kestrel HUD.
Couldn't put a bag on it or anything like a no.
That's right. Can't attach anything else to your ARCA rail. Bipod. That's it.
You brought up, or Adriel mentioned bags. What were the rules when it came to bags for factory?
There were none actually. So I could use whatever bags I want. They just could not be attached to the rifle.
Okay.
Yeah. So also there's no restrictions on optics. So any optic I wanted to run or optics, like you could put a red dot and whatever top of the line scope you wanted, no problem. Right. So they don't restrict optics, just the rifle.
So you could have a theta on that MPA at whatever, $11,000-$12,000.
Absolutely. And it would be a factory rifle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
From factory, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Are you going to go again?
Well, the next one's not for 2 years, and we'll probably have a more thorough, qualifying selection process because we have more time. So yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of really good shooters out there, and every year, like I've only been doing this for 2 years now, so I've just watched the skill level across the board just rocket higher. So we'll see what that looks like 2 years from now.
During the match, did you find yourself watching other shooters like from different parts of the world?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the most interesting thing that I saw was so there were some shooters there who you could tell they were new to the sport. There were a few. And from a number of different countries. I wouldn't just pick on any one country and say, oh, those guys didn't know what they were doing. I think there were a lot of people who, it's the first event, right? It's the first World Championship. But that wasn't the interesting part. The interesting part was that the skilled shooters from no matter where they were from, you could see that they had very, very similar styles, right? Like the sport, I think, has evolved to the point where nobody's going to show up and like do something completely unconventional and blow everyone away. Like it's a mature sport at this point, right? Like everyone has kind of figured things out by now. So there was, there were no surprises there. All the best shooters, like their games looked very, very tight and similar.
Nice. Was there good camaraderie, like outside of the matches, out of the stages?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my squad, we had there were 10 shooters in the squad. I'm not going to remember every country, but Americans, Brits, Australians, South Africans, Canadian, Czech, Slovaks, actually we didn't have a German in our squad, but Italian, like broad representation. Everybody had a really, really good time.
Good.
Day one, I think people were a little quiet and a bit anxious, but that lasted maybe all of like 2 stages. And it was a lot of fun. You did a lot to help out your squad mates, and it wasn't the type of competition where you'd like conceal everything. Like you'd come off a stage and you'd happily say, yeah, you know what, the wind was like, I thought it was left to right, it was actually right to left. I was having to hold 3/10 right, surprisingly. And I wanted to see them do well, because there's no joy in beating someone if they have a bad day. I want to beat them at their best, right? So
Agreed.
like there was the guy who ultimately won it, our factory, was in my squad, and he shot directly behind me. So every time I came off the stage, I'd like let him know, like, hey, here's what I was doing. And there was a stage where he was about to shoot it, and I noticed that he'd written down his stage instructions incorrectly. So he would have got out of sequence on targets, probably not on positions, but out of sequence on targets. And I wasn't going to let him. Like, I could have kept my mouth shut. I wouldn't do that. I'm like, hey, you don't want to check your dope card there. And he was like, thanked me for fixing it. But I wouldn't have been happy with myself if I had beat him because I let him walk into a mistake like that.
So kumbaya stuff and all out the side, which country was Canada trying to beat in this thing? Which one were you guys gambling with that you had the money on the line to beat them? Was it Australia, New Zealand?
All those Australians.
I would say so. Look, realistically, I don't think anybody expected to beat the US. Like the Czechs did, which is astonishing and amazing for them. I would say for us, who I thought we would be competing against would probably be the Brits, the Australians, maybe South Africans too. Yeah,
mostly Commonwealth.
Yeah,
got to represent.
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
probably because we just don't see much, probably language barrier more than anything, from like the French, the Czechs, the other countries. So just lack of awareness of what's going on in those countries. So, but there were a lot of good shooters from there.
Yeah, I think that was the interesting thing, looking at the results and just seeing like how many different countries. And I think it's really interesting seeing that. Kyle, Mo, any other questions you guys wanted to ask?
No, I think I'm good.
I think I got all my questions in.
Perfect. Russ, thanks so much for coming on and letting us know about the Worlds. Congratulations on your finish. 13th is still pretty good when you're going to the Worlds.
Really good.
2 years into into shooting. I think that's a phenomenal result, and I think you should be super proud of that.
Thanks very much. If somebody told me, at my first match in 2021 that, hey, in 2 years, there's going to be a World Championships, and 2, you're going to it, I would have thought you were crazy. So this has been a pretty amazing experience overall.
Awesome. Well, thanks for calling on and letting us know.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Russ.
Okay. Thanks, Russ. And now we're going to go on the rest of the show. At some point, talk to Ryan, maybe. Oh, there he goes. Hello and welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 522 for September 6th, 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Adriel.
I'm another host, Kyle.
And I'm the final host, Mo.
I always spike that intro whenever I'm looking at the audio afterwards. I'm like, oh yeah, I always say hello like way too loud.
Welcome to the show.
Audacity is going crazy on me. Yeah, and it's not, we're not even starting right now. We're midway through, but anyways, why don't we get into what we did in guns? Mo, why don't you let us know what you've been doing in guns?
I went to an ORPS match at Stittsville on Saturday. It was it was like a double header because it was the August course of fire and the September one, and turned out to be a pretty nice day. It was a little bit of rain at one point, but not much. I did terrible. So, but it was still fun, I guess. Outside of that, really nothing. I struggled with, there were, out of the 10 stages of the two events, there were 3 unsupported ones. And with my rifle with the weight, I did just awful. But anyways, that was it for me. How about you, Adriel?
Well, I see we've been joined by Ryan here, so maybe we'll add Ryan in and get his 2 cents on how Worlds went. Hey, Ryan, we were just talking with Russ, so we kind of got Russ's breakdown on how the event went, but would love to hear yours as well. So just for some of our listeners, Ryan, you went to the Rimfire Worlds as well, and you're also one of the guys over at IBI and other stuff too. Service rifle champion a couple of years in a row.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2. Yeah. What else are you up to?
Well, I run Ultimatum as well, so I guess that's part of it. Along
Ultimatum,
with IPI.
yeah.
We took over a year ago, so that's been interesting and challenging, of course. Yeah,
we haven't talked since you've taken them over. That's I remember seeing that and thinking like, oh, that's probably a good thing. And
I think so.
Spoken since.
Yeah, it's just taken a long time to get it sort of straightened around and steered in the right direction. But it's coming along well now. We have new actions on the way. We've got the Deuce and the deadline still. So, yeah, it's been good. But, yeah.
Cool.
Worlds was interesting, that's for sure.
Did you get to practice your Italian? Or is it Italian?
Not really, no. I was ordering pizza, and that was about it. But my language skills are minimal to none. So,
well, how'd the shoot go then? Because your shooting skills seem to be pretty good.
I can generally hold my own, but man, it was tough, and I had a rough go. I started out really good in the mornings, and then right around sort of 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I would start to fade. And I don't know if it was just the time change or what it was, but by the end of it, I was just toasted. So it happens. It is what it is.
Was that the sun or the hangover starting to kick in?
There was no time for hangover. Like we were literally up at like 5:30 in the morning every morning. So, and the time change was pretty crazy. I think when we were shooting, it was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning for us West Coast guys. So I don't know if that affected any of the other guys like it did me, but I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So, sometimes it takes my body a little bit to get used to things. And I think maybe I just didn't have enough time. But with that said, I mean, the shooting conditions were pretty badass. I didn't see what Russ said, but 90-second stages, very small targets, no feedback. Wind changes that would change 3 or 4 times even in one 90-second stage. And thankfully, there were wind flags on the targets, but none of them really read all that well. There were 1 or 2 that read pretty good, but man, you totally had to be on top of it, and I just wasn't, unfortunately. But that's the way she goes. Next time, I'll be better. I did learn a ton of lessons, so that was pretty awesome. And learned a few things about my equipment as well. So, yeah, I came away with lots of good stuff still, even though, I don't know, I didn't even know where I finished. I think in Open I was 51st or 52nd or something.
Yeah, Russ was mentioning a couple of stages where he had thought that the wind was going one direction, but actually it was going another direction. And he mentioned, that the targets were really small. It was a very high grade of accuracy that was expected, and there was wind, and
Less time.
the par time was very short.
Our time's fast. Yeah. Usually, well, I understand it because it's a world championship, right? So you go there to be as accurate and shoot against the best guys. Clearly, it was doable because Chris Simmons shot a 165 or whatever it was there, which was, I don't know how he did that, but okay. Yeah, that's pretty spectacular. But usually like you change one or two of those kind of things. Like you make the target smaller, but you keep the par times a little bit higher. You make the positions worse, but you make the feedback better. We didn't have any of that. There was none of it. It was like everything was stacked against you. And I'd never shot over water either before, so I had no idea how to deal with that. So that was
okay.
We had 4 stages. 4 or 5 stages where we were shooting over a lake. And it wasn't super far, but like I don't know how to read wind on a lake. So that was an eye opener.
Can you? Is that a thing you can do, reading wind on a lake?
I think you can, but like just trying to this lake was in the middle of not like a valley, but all these hills came down and it ended in this lake. So the hill where we'd been shooting was up behind us, and the wind was coming down there at times and it was going up there at times, and I had no idea what was going on in the lake. You could see a little bit on the water. You could see a little bit in weeds and things, but that was also super challenging. And when you're shooting at targets that are like 8 centimeters at 150 yards, it's challenging. There isn't a whole lot of room for error there. Yeah, and I think the boys were milling them, and they said that most targets were 0.6 at whatever distance we were at. So that's a pretty small target for those kind of conditions.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, that's pretty small. How'd that compare to some of the local events that you've been to?
Well, I mean, the local events are also sort of oriented to bring new shooters in. So you have to have a few meatball targets there to keep new shooters happy. Because, I mean, if you ran a match like the Worlds at a local match, nobody would ever come back because the hit percentages were so low. For some people,
I got 3 points.
Yeah, this sport is too hard. Forget it. I'll do something else.
Like there were stages where we were on it and my entire squad, nobody shot more than a 6, and somebody came out with a 5 and we're like, wow, that was awesome. You shot a 5. So it was an eye opener for sure. But local matches, you have to have a few bigger targets, and I'm actually shooting a match on Saturday already. So we'll get back at it, and hopefully it will be a little bit better result than it was in Italy, but we'll see. Give it a shot.
Cool. Yeah. What were some of the things you learned or you took away from the event?
Well, I mean, I think obviously I got to do a little bit better on the wind reading. Although I don't know how guys did it on that. Like my wind reading's decent, but maybe I just got to open my eyes a bit more and take a little bit more time to check the flags. When you're so focused on trying to line things up perfectly, maybe you need a second or two just to double check the wind flags, because the wind flags were not, sometimes they were going in the right direction, sometimes they weren't. And like Russ said, there was one stage where every single flag on the range was going right to left. It was blowing up the hill, and I ended up having to hold left in order to make a hit. So I don't know what the hell was going on there. I still don't know what was going on there. And 2 people after me had the same condition. So they made hits because I came off and I was like, I had to hold left there. What was going on with that? And they're like, what? So I had a Swedish guy behind me, and I think he fired one shot in the direction that the flags were going. Then he went to the left and he made a whole pile of hits. So he came off and he's like, I can't believe it. I was holding left too. So what do you do, right? Pretty difficult to figure that out. until you've burned off 4 or 5 shots already, and then you're already down a bunch of points. So is what it is.
Yeah, with a match like that where, you know, the round's gone or the round's gone, then it's not really much you can do after you find out that thing, whether it be the win call or, you know, some mistake on drop or whatever. It's
well, because there was no feedback, like you couldn't see anything in the ground. The only feedback I was getting was because I was shooting Ely, and it's a shiny bullet, so occasionally I'd catch the actual projectile going down range, and I could see that and make corrections off of that. But it wasn't all the time. And you're shooting into the bushes in the back, so occasionally you get a stick fall down somewhere or a leaf blow off or something like that. But like that was pretty rare too. Plus, the bushes were probably 50 or 60 meters behind the target. So, is it valid?
That's not
probably not.
Yeah.
So
that was something I realized from CRPS is seeing the splash lower than target doesn't mean anything if you're shooting on a flat area, because maybe you missed high. Yeah, 100%.
And we all tried to get in behind the guys that were shooting at the time and just sort of see what we could catch from their projectiles going down range. But when you got 10 people trying to crowd in behind one shooter, it makes for some interesting juking around. So it didn't happen every time. So sometimes you'd think it was going one way and it was going the other way because you were too far offset from the target, and it worked. But so that was a good takeaway. Let's see, what else was there? I don't know. I think just some equipment things. Like I've been running a Manners chassis with the Deuce, and it gave me lots of mag problems, and I dumped a pile of points because of mags. So I guess it's going to be an ACC Elite for me for now, or Premier, or whatever I can get my hands on, because I got to eliminate all those magazine problems, which I thought were good enough. I could probably run it still in a club match. Like I'll probably shoot it again on Saturday, but I think going forward at matches that are important, I'm going to have to switch to an ACC so I can not deal with all the shenanigans that come along with trying to stuff a 22 magazine into a center fire sized magazine well that is oversized. So that was a bit of a learner as well. I knew it was close and it wasn't probably that bad, but when you dump probably 15 points and your team only comes in fourth by like 20, that kind of gives you a bit of a bitch slap to the face and say, hey man, you can't pull this shit again, right? Like just got to smarten up. So that was
equipment losing because of equipment sucks. That's like, especially if it's something small like that, magazine compatibility with a stock or something like that. That's awful. Yeah.
It was points that I lost that I shouldn't have lost, because you need to have 100% trust in your equipment so that you can focus on the actual shooting portion of things. And there were stages where you had to change mags, and I only had 2 mags that were semi-functionable, and I was like, oh man, this is a problem. And it's got nothing to do with the magazines at all. It's all 100% that the chassis is too loose because it's center fire bottom metal. So, and it's not really adjustable. So I'm going to go to an ACC. I'll run Voodoo mags in the Deuce, and it'll be no problem.
Cool.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. Well, while we've got you kind of on the line here, what kind of new things are going on with IBI? Any new action you guys are running for, or any other new offerings?
Well, as far as barrels go
like
for IBI, we have. Yeah, it's been a while for sure. The newest things we have at IBI are 25 cal and 270 cal are now in the mix. The 25 cals have been proven already by the guys at Predator World Hunting, who are shooting NRL hunter matches down in the States. Chris and Jeff have been absolutely smashing everybody with our 25 cal barrels down there, and they won the team they won the team championship at the NRL Hunter finale with a couple of 25 cal IBI barrels. So
What's the
So that's
cartridge that
been-
they're running in 25 cal?
25 Creed, I believe.
Whoa, 20. I didn't know that there was a 25 Creed. All right.
Yeah, there's
Interesting.
some brass coming out, I think, from Alpha, if I remember correctly. And they make good brass, or you can just neck it up or neck it down, one way or the other.
Mhm.
Everything's the same
Interesting.
except bullet diameter. So
Yeah.
I think for NRL Hunter, it makes a lot of sense because you can still make the power factor, but you're minimizing the recoil as much as you can because you're running guns that aren't nearly as heavy as PRS guns.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing your impacts or your misses, for that matter, can be a little bit more difficult because you got to absorb all that recoil. But those two fellas know how to run it, no problem. So they've been doing pretty awesome there. So as far as barrels, we got that. On the action side of things, we have 2 new 2-lug actions coming. Ultimatum invested a lot of money in a 7-axis CNC and a wire EDM. So now we'll be making everything in-house, which is good, which was part of the issue previously. You were on timelines that belonged to somebody else, not you. And they never made the timeline. So we ended up suffering the consequences of it. But now we're able to make everything in-house. And should be a lot easier to hit deadlines and produce things when they're meant to be produced. So that's going to be good. But yeah, that's the biggest thing right now. So a couple of new 2-lug actions coming. One will be a Hunter version, and one will be just like a 700 clone.
Mm-hmm.
So
something that fits that. It seems like there's a lot that's out there, and there's a lot of stock, a lot of aftermarket that's supporting that platform.
Yeah, there is. And we wanted to, because we brought it in-house, we can offer it for a little bit less money. So I think the straight tactical 700 clone should retail for around $12.99. Mm-hmm. And then the Hunter one will be about $13.99. It's about $100 more. It's a little more machine time. So that should be pretty good. I don't think there's too many other actions on the market that sort of hit that kind of level with the kind of quality that we're going to be getting out of these things. So hopefully it'll be a winner. Sure. I'm sure. And yeah, we'll go on from there. But we'll still be producing the Deuce for the 22, and we'll be producing the Deadline also. That'll still be our flagship action, 3-lug 700 footprint. And that's what I'm running for PRS gun right now, and it's awesome. It's pretty fast. Yeah. So
for the Rimfire barrels, you have a new twist weight too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we have a 14 twist barrel that we brought in after some testing. That's what I took in the shot at the Worlds there. So I was shooting the entire thing with a test barrel, but it shoots good, and it's more than accurate enough for anything. It's an interesting twist rate because it shoots every bit as good as the 16 twists at 50 and 100, and it shoots almost as good as the 12 out past 200. So it holds really good vertical, like the 12 does. I think the 12 still probably has a bit of an edge really far out there, but the 14 definitely shoots a little bit better in close and dirty. Which may or may not be a thing. I mean, the difference between the 16 and the 12 was really only noticeable on paper, but if you're a bench rest guy, you probably notice. But for those of us that are smacking steel, I mean, the 12 will smack any 1/4-inch KYL wherever you want to put it, no problem. But the bench rest guys were finding that the 12s they don't shoot quite as good at 50 and 100. But, they measure groups in millimeters, so, for
they would know.
It doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Cool.
So, so the 14 twist, I can foresee that one probably really taking off and sort of becoming the go-to all-around twist rate for guys that want to shoot PRS-type matches. I think if you're a group shooter, probably at 50 and 100, the 16 is still going to be the winner for you. And if you're a 22 ELR guy, I think the 12 is probably still going to be the winner for you. So you got a bit of a spread to sort of play with there, and it's what works best for you, and figure it out from there.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it for IBI and Ultimatum.
Yeah,
that I
cool.
can remember
Kyle,
anyways.
Mo, any other questions for Ryan? No, perfect. Well, Ryan, thanks for coming on the show, especially with
That's
such late notice. But
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for coming on for sure. And maybe just before you go, just let our listeners know where they can find out more about IBI and Ultimatum.
So IBI, International Barrels, is at ibIbarrels.com. And Ultimatum is at ultimatumprecision.com. However, if you go on the IBI webpage, you can see one of the headers says actions, Ultimatum actions, and you just click on that. It's all on the same website now. We got rid of the other
Perfect.
website.
That makes it easier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
for
didn't
sure.
function very well, and they were costing us a lot of money. So we just amalgamated it all into one.
Nice.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Ryan, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, guys. Take it
Thanks,
easy.
Ryan.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yep.
How do I get out of here? Is that it?
There. I'll,
Let me out.
Am I still on?
kick you out. There you go.
Yeah.
What do I just hop in with what I did in guns now?
What did you
Yes,
do
I
in
do,
guns
right?
this week, Adriel?
Oh, thank you. I was just waiting for someone to ask.
See how smooth that was?
Oh, that was very smooth. I'm not
I'm
editing that in though, because I'm way too lazy.
I'm like a professional broadcaster. Oh.
If only we had a professional editor. I released the Bren 2 MS video. Finally got that out. So the full one. So I had the one before that was for a 3-gun, and this one was a more complete video with. I typically do how does this compare in the market? Show the usability of the gun, and then I do a disassembly, like the whole works. So I did that video. I finally mailed that gun. So that gun was bought by someone else. So I mailed it to them. And I mailed the Lynx 180 lower to the person that won it. So did all my mailing last week. I was looking at Iron Guns. They have the 11-inch Bren for 2,200 Canadian, the restricted one. Wouldn't it be fun running around with an 11-inch gun like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. Maybe soon. Maybe soon. We'll see. I've been reviewing PAL and RPAL materials because I'm going to be going through that instructor bit in October here. I noticed some weird or outdated lingo on some of this stuff, which you guys probably remember from the PAL or RPAL. Keep in mind, I did mine 25 years ago. So back then, lingo, that might have been the lingo. But since then, I did it. And I'm like, what the heck? Why are they calling it that? Oh, that's a weird way of putting that. There's a couple of things that I noticed that were kind of weird. One of them was hinge action. Hinge action. Or break action, as we call it in the 2020s. So it said hinge or break action. I've never heard anyone call it hinge action. So that must be an old way of calling it. The other thing I did was some of the test prep questions. Revolver rifles, that's not a thing in the test questions. But I was looking at one. I was looking at one of those little heritage rimfire rifles, but it is a thing. You can buy them. Maybe not that back then, though. Maybe that wasn't. No, even back then you would have had them. They just wouldn't have been as common. Because I swear some of the cowboy revolvers had stock sets. That's the whole reason why that's a thing, is because that used to be a thing way back in the day. Get one of those and get the revolver, and then share the cartridges between the two of them, right? On the tests as well, no black powder in a break action shotgun. So it's you can't use it in a break action shotgun. But I swear some of those cowboy action guys are shooting black powder in brass shells.
My dad has a black powder shotgun that you can shoot smokeless out of, but we don't shoot much out of it. But yeah, it was made for black powder.
Black powder. Yeah. But like these are like hard and fast rules, right? Mostly it was just terminology that was kind of weird. Like they never really called pistols like DASA, like a Shadow 2. They wouldn't call it DASA. They call it double action. Shadow's double action. And then there's some guns that are double action only. And those would be like, oh, they don't cock the hammer or whatever. They're double action only. That's just kind of like a weird, at less clear, I think. I think these days, like when we call something like DASA, like that's more clear than it's double action. Do you mean double action or do you mean double action only? Right? You have to ask that like clarifying question anytime someone says it's double action. So that's probably why that change has happened, right? Bolt action is similar. A bolt action is similar to a door bolt. I think door bolts were just like more common back then. Maybe more people had used a door bolt, or maybe they should have said like originally when bolt action the term was invented, there were a lot more door bolts. You know those things you use in like an outhouse, slide over, turn down. That's what this gun's action is based on, is an outhouse lock. Or maybe like the history of it. Anyways, that was kind of funny. And then there's very little around like striker fired polymer pistols. Like I guess that would just be covered under double action pistol, but I could see that being maybe kind of confusing for someone if you gave them all those materials and you put a Glock in front of them and you'd be like, make that thing safe, or like, load this thing safely. They'd be like, okay, I'm gonna put the safety on before I load it. Where's the safety on this thing? Oh, that's another thing that I noticed. They say like try to put the safety on before you load any gun, which is like okay advice, but like a lot of guns you can't move the slide or the bolt or whatever if the safety's on. Like a lot of guns. I don't know. Seems like that would be worth mentioning. Like, how many of my guns could you do that with? The 1911, you can't move if the safety's on the slide. That you can't. That you can. That doesn't have a safety. And that you can't. Oh, and again, you can't with my single action. Mind you, like all guns are different, right? And this is probably like, but yeah. Oh, there is no half cock on this. Right. There is no half cock on the Wrangler. There's only a half cock that binds the cylinder, and then it doesn't want to work afterwards. So try half cocking this thing, you got a mistake. Actually, that's the safety right there. The loading gate is the safety on this thing. Maybe I'll bring that. See if students can figure that stuff out. Anyways, it's been interesting. There's definitely some good stuff in there. They are very like hard up on the like terminology, which is okay. And then there's some like very practical questions in there, like where do you find the cartridge information for the gun? Well, you find it on the barrel. Usually you find it on the barrel, but it's kind of interesting. I've been looking for crappy PAL guns to do the course with. So I need they have to be deactivated. They have to be able to like cock and click, but not go boom. So typically that means like removing the firing pin or grinding down the firing pin. And it just so happened that SFRC got some Stevens 320 security shotguns in for $200 even. So I bought one of those because that's going to be the cheapest pump action you can find easily. There aren't any Turk guns you can get at that price. $200 for a pump, not going to happen. So I bought one of those. Not even used. I'm not even going to be able to find a used one for $200. So that's my reasoning there. If I had like a used Wingmaster and it was busted, I'd still ask more than $200 for it. So I didn't think I'd be able to do better than that. They also had some of them break action shotguns. So I got one of those, one of like $130 ones. Got another one of those because I'm using the ones that I have. I don't want to disable them. And then I needed to get $400 to get the free shipping. So I bought a bunch of like random crap. I bought a bunch of like black powder stuff and a recoil pad for the Gersan MC312 and a bunch of other nonsense. So mostly like lubes and sprays and brushes and that kind of thing. I think I have a BCL Siberian test unit on the way to me. This is one of the ones from that firearms reliability testing group that I'm a part of. That's on that Discord. The testing has not been going well. This thing is
surprise.
Not going well.
Well, I mean, so we tested the WK-181, and like we had some failures with it. This thing is failing at a much higher rate. It's between 3 and 5% failure rate right now. So it's sometimes it's you put a mag in, maybe you'll make it all the way through, maybe. But that's on its way. I'm gonna put some rounds through it. Maybe I'll shoot it in a match. I don't know. We'll find out. And then this weekend I have a Maple Seed doubleheader at Sherwood Park. I'm going to be having a Maple Seed every weekend for every weekend until mid-October now. I don't know why it ended up like that, but that's just the way it ended up. So I'm going to be doing lots of them. The problem is asking, would handguns be covered in RPAL courses now when new people cannot buy them anymore? Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, because it's a good question. And like, to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be doing very many RPAL courses in the near future. But still going to do it because I want if the legislation is reversed, I want the ability to get going on those things, because there's going to be some people who'll be like, oh my God, I got to get one right now.
I would think so. Yeah. There's going to be a mass
so
rush.
I want to do that. Actually, I was talking with an instructor buddy of mine. I don't even have the right guns to be able to do it, and I cannot buy them even as a business. So one of the ones I would need is a double action revolver. I don't have that because I don't like those guns. I just have a single action. So, and I need one of those too. You need both. That's how you know that the PAL course is old. The RPAL course is old. You need a single action revolver and a double action revolver, but you don't need a polymer striker fired pistol. But that's what I don't know how like what volume those would make up of like new pistols. I would bet 70%. How many do you think would be polymer striker fired pistols?
Oh, it's
yes.
high.
It's high. Oh, yeah.
High.
Yeah.
2/3 or higher. I would bet
Yes.
2/3.
Yes. 2/3 are high.
Yeah. Because there'd be some DASA guns that would still be sold. There would be some, I guess that's pretty much single action, maybe like some 1911s and that kind of thing. Yeah. Some Tokarevs, so single action there. But yeah, a high percentage of striker fired double action pistols that are not required. Anyways, I was asking about like if this is just an Alberta thing or if it's Canadian thing. It's Canada wide. If it was just Alberta, I would be like, okay, guys, it's time to update this thing. Let's put some better questions in here. Let's put a Glock in there. Maybe we'll drop that double action revolver. Who's actually using those things? But no dice. But anyways. So I'm doing Maple Seeds all the time. I'm doing Sherwood Park this weekend. What am I doing next weekend? Fort Mac. Doing the drive up to the Mac. After that, I'm doing KGAC out in Canmore area, and then Chaz. And we also opened an event in Tabor this weekend as well. So lots of fall Alberta. These are perfect if anyone is in Alberta and wants to get in hunting. These are perfect for it. Most of them are sold out, but it's a good tune in for before hunting season, and you could improve on hasty sling's great for hunting. So I think like getting those reps in there would be fantastic. Kyle, what have you been up to?
Nothing. I didn't do anything this week. No, just one of those weeks. Didn't make it to the range. I laid down dry fire. Nothing.
I've had a few of those, yeah.
Just live fire every weekend. That's better than dry fire, right? You don't need dry fire.
I didn't even make it up for that. Our Labor Day weekend was very low key. Well, I worked the Saturday, but the other 2 days were fairly low key. And I can't wait for it to start cooling down. Even still, it's still triple digits. And So yeah, I can't wait for it to cool down.
We got down to 7 degrees Celsius. Down
Not
around
that
here.
cold.
Just like
No more that cold.
as soon as school started, it's like boom, it's cold now.
Right around like
All right.
70 degrees would be nice, like 20 degrees Celsius. That would be good.
That's what we're getting during the day here. It's cold at night, which is very nice. All right, let's get into upcoming events. Trend Maple Seed. There's a couple that are opening. Actually, I'm going to open one in Ontario and 2 in Alberta, and then North Battleford still has some spots available. So I'm going to send out an email out this evening, if I remember, and that'll have those events in it. They're on the website as well. The Chaz 3-gun match for this weekend, September 9th. There's still spots available for that. There is a team match in Peace River that's coming up in October. That's going to have some slots available. I'm going to be at that.
There's always slots available for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe I'm going to Prince George in November for a winter night brutality shoot.
Nice.
Maybe. That'll be at night in Prince George in late November. It's going to be fucking cold. And I'm going to have to stick a light on one of these guns. That one for sure. WSMCR. Maybe I'll stick 2 lights on it.
Maybe
long
the
range and a short
Siberian
range.
for a winter shoot.
It's got the right name. I don't have the right. I don't have a lot of trust in it. So I'm a little bit too like if it's just like a local like a weekly match or something like that. I'll run some garbage just to have fun. But for like a bigger match, something that I got to travel for, I kind of want to shoot the best, like the most reliable stuff I've got, so that if I have like problems, it's all me. Then I worry less about that. CRPS Nationals is September 23rd.
Yep.
Hint, hint, Mo. Where's that?
Even more
Do you know where?
Ontario.
Other side of the world. That one.
It's
I'd rather be in Hoth, which I'm going to be.
perspective for you. It's about 4 hours from Toronto. Okay.
Toronto. That sounds like Toronto. Yeah.
It's Greg mentioned it's the 24th as well because it's a 2-day event. So it's 10 stages. It's 20 stages over 2 days. The Saturday and the Sunday.
Neat.
So that's 10 stages a day at 122nd part-time?
No, this would be 2-minute part times.
So 122nd part-time.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. It's a long day. Yes. Yes. That's true.
Math is hard. It's
Not
okay.
120 seconds. That's way too long.
No,
They're 2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yes. 2 minutes.
That's a lot of shooting for a day. That's
Mm-hmm.
Well,
All right, let's get into news. What do you guys think of my title on this one? It's not the title from the news story.
it's interesting.
I went for that alliteration. I'm just like, what else could I rhyme with C? Liberty Safe cucks customers by giving codes to cops? No. Liberty Safe gave the code for one of their safes, for one of their customers' safes, to the FBI because the FBI had a warrant. I don't think they actually had to do that. I don't actually like that they did that. And a lot of people don't either. So
I'm sure they did not.
just by the by. No. Subpoena. Subpoena is the level that you can say like, oh, you got a warrant. Well, that's not our property. So good luck with that customer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But anyways, they did that. Any other comments? No, not hearing.
I'm just how would the codes are changeable? So how would they have the code unless, like Mike's saying, is there a master code then, or
they gave them either the Tumblr pin code so that they could pick it, or they gave them the code that the electronic lock came with when they sold it.
Yeah, but you changed. Usually you change that after you get it home.
Maybe they treated it like one of them school locks where it's like, Tony's saying likely master code. which
From
the fact that
factory
it's
is
got a
usually
master
1, 2,
code
3,
is
4,
bad.
5, 6 pound on most of the ones in stores. When I check them, that's what it works.
Only to provide access codes to law enforcement if there's a warrant. Blah 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 blah.
Mike saying, just tell the ATF there's a family dog in the safe. They will make sure they get into that safe.
Uh-huh. Comply with the law. Anywho,
Yeah, that's an interesting story.
that's going to go poorly for them.
It will, yeah. They're going to get lots of backlash.
Yeah. Anywho, let's get into new gun stuff. New gun stuff is brought to you by Bullseye North. Need a new boomstick? Bullseye North is Canada's shooting superstore and a proud supporter of the CCFR with a wide selection of guns and top trending gear for any shooter. You know what they got right now? They got 15% off Tika rifles, which I thought would be perfect for how close we are to hunting season right now.
Yeah.
Just around the corner. Tikas are a pretty great hunting rifle. Very light, bolts nice and smooth. They're accurate. And they got them at 15% off, so they got them right around $1,000. And if you wanted the 22 version, they've got those at $600-700.
Nice.
I don't have a picture for this, but there's some new WSMCR rifles with Templar lowers. This means nothing to me. I don't know if I care, but that's a thing. The other thing that matters a little bit more, Northern Elite Firearms. They've got the GSG 16 on sale for $100 off. So rather than being $550, it's $450, which I think that's a pretty good price.
Yeah.
I think the last time I looked at these, they're around $500, so $450 is pretty good. They look kind of neat too. And then Cabela's has a couple that Tony found, and then some that I found here that I just wanted to show. The first is a Savage 110 Tactical Bolt Action, left-handed. You can get this thing in left-handed for $800. So a lot of people out there, lefties, get stuck with the shit end of the stick, and there they've got the 110. That's an option. They also have, this is actually a recent change to their models, but they call it the A22F now. F in Savage lingo means synthetic stock, and it also means cheap. That's like generally like their 64F is their cheapest 22, and the A22F is their cheaper version of the A22. So it just comes with a 10-round magazine. It doesn't come with much else. So it's got still the bases, 20-inch barrel, and anyways, they've got that for $278. And the thing I saw that's only on sale today, but is still a hell of a deal. They have the Caldwell Emax Pro electronic earmuffs for $35. If you want a pair of earmuffs for a guest, like you take people to the range, buy a set of these. $35. They're going to be on sale for today only because they do these on Wild Wednesdays every once in a while. These are fantastic as a guest earmuffs. I wouldn't want to sit all day in them. I'd want something with like better audio quality. Oh, I have used these all day. I accidentally brought these one time to a Maple Seed rather than my Gucci, well, not Gucci, but like my 3M Peltor Tac Sports, and they were fine. They were fine. I found them. They have a microphone on the top. I found that a little bit annoying because it's like you brush against it and you hear that that kind of move. Sound as you're like brushing against it rather than the front ones, which are a little bit better, but it was fine. It was absolutely fine. Anywho, I advocate for that as like a cheap person's way of getting your guests to stop saying, huh? CDC Supplies has a clearance section. They're running a month-long clearance sale. It's mostly AR parts. But some really nice ones that they have on sale. Remember AR stuff. Some very Gucci AR stuff. Maybe we'll get to use it soon. Who knows? Maybe the conservatives will get in and they'll reverse all of this. Probably not, but who knows? Italian Sporting Goods. They have the Springfield Armory 2020 Rimfire. They're $5.99 for synthetic, $6.89 for sage, which is, I think it must be like something better because $100 for a different paint. It looks like a different paint job on it, but whatever. And $7.34 for walnut. I don't have any pictures of it. Here's a deal if you're into shotguns. Prophet River has the Resini BR522 Special side-by-side. It's a side-by-side shotgun. Just something to chuck into, like next to you on the pickup truck when you're looking for grouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $6,600.
Okay.
Anywho, it's a very nice shotgun. Very classy looking. Great looking wood on it. Butt pad? Nah. Wood.
Wow.
More wood. I think that there's a line there.
Yeah.
So I think there is a butt pad, but I think it's like got a wood trim or veneer or something on it.
That is
I
interesting.
wonder if they have a picture. No, they don't have a picture of the butt pad. That's clear enough to see it. Oh my God, it comes in so nicely there. It's just got to be hard plastic then, or wood or something. Anywho, that's the thing. Can I put this up? No, I can't put this up. I just have that on Facebook. TACCOM, there's going to be some deals at TACCOM. You see some of those deals, Kyle?
I did not actually
Did
get
you
a
see
close
that?
look at them.
Oh my goodness. Take a look at the prices on there. Oh, I'm going to pull them up because they're amazing. These look like door crashers to me. These look like prices that like they're going to have some of them. They're going to sell out immediately, and that's going to be that.
Oh yeah,
because
there are
they're
some.
just okay. I figured out how to get it on my other screen here. Let's do that. If you can line up at TACCOM early, try to do that. Like, yeah, there's some rifles. Okay, you can get like a Kodiak Defense or like the CZ 457 for $469, that kind of thing. Look at the ammo prices.
Yeah.
Okay, 9mm 350. I can do that. Not 124 grain. That's pretty good. 5.56 for $625. Whoa, that's pretty good. 5.56 case 1,000 for $575. Oh, I haven't seen that in more than a few years.
Yeah.
Aguila Super Extra 185 for 2,000. That's pretty good. That's better than you can get retail. S&B, I don't know about that. Chinese Surplus 375 for a crate of 1440. Oh, we haven't seen these prices in more than 5 years. Not even close. So if you're going to this and you're going to be there early, my recommendation would be to take a frame backpack or a dolly or something that can hold some weight, because these deals are in like we're not going to see them again, not for that price. Anywho, Mike's saying Adam Rod every day, all day for this guy. I don't know what Adam Rod is. What does that mean?
He's responding to Adam Rod. Rod was saying that Adam was saying he's going to be there on Sunday.
Tony's saying he dailies the Emax. Tony, have you put gel ear pads on that thing yet? You can get gel ear cups on Amazon that are like generic ones. You can get some that are like for aviator headsets, and you can rip off the old ones and put these aviator ones on. Like that's what I did with my Peltors. These gel cups on here are not the ones that 3M sells, because those only lasted me a year. These crappy Amazon ones that are actually cushier than those ones, I've been using for a year. I think I've been using these for a year, maybe 2. I don't know. Time is kind of like irrelevant in the days of COVID, but you can get those kind of things for other headsets as well. The stock ear pads work fine for my big old head. Yeah, but the gel ones are more comfortable. They fit around things. They're squishy. They're nice and soft. They feel great. They don't breathe as well, though. You sweat like a MFer in the summer. It just seals it in there.
Yeah, I don't typically do earmuffs for that reason.
If I'm shooting, like if I'm shooting a rifle, I go earplugs, because I break the seal when I get my cheek rest, and then I might as well be wearing nothing. But if I am shooting pistol, or if I'm ROing, I wear these because I can get a decent seal. I'm not putting anything up there to like break the seal, and I can hear everything around me. I can hear people talking and whatever.
Yeah, I just use electronic in-ear, but
In-ear's nice. Yeah. And they don't sweat either.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we get on to the main topic? Thanks again to Russ and Ryan for coming on and letting us know how the IPRF Worlds went. Let's get into listener feedback. Facebook and YouTube, we've kind of been getting on to people as they've been mentioning things here. Tony was mentioning is like, he sweats and he wears glasses. He hates the pressure. Oh, the pressure on around my ears is negligible for me. Yeah. I actually found the pressure on the Caldwells to be fine. I think the Walker Razors gave me like the most. They got like a lot of clamping pressure on them. My Howard Light Impact Sports don't give me quite so much pressure, and these things are probably the best for pressure, just in terms of like evenness. How many ear pros do I have? Electronic. I have 3 that I can see right now. I was doing ultrasonic cleaning of my iPro, and I've got like 12 sets over there that I cleaned today. Like I go through these shelves, I'm like, oh yeah, I got those. Oh yeah, I got those. I got so much iPro. Yeah, but gonna get to emails. Do you want to read this email here, Kyle?
Sure. We got an email from Brent, and it's in response to your team names. He said, for a team name, I would suggest Trudeau's True Daddies.
He's got 2 dads. That's too liberal for me. Would make sense though. Would make sense. Yeah. Just while we're talking about Ear Pro here, Mike's saying that the Surefire Defender earplugs are fantastic. I should email them, ask for some freebies. Did you want to go through the YouTube comments, see what we've got going on over there?
Sure. We had one comment on episode 521. Was asking what ORPS, and Tony answered that for him right in the comments there. And we had a couple from the Gersan testing review. One from Toaster 3822 says, no, it shouldn't cycle 1 ounce loads. First 4 shots, buddy, read the manual. Stop shouldering those shots so hard too. You literally explained the problem, then continued to do it. I love these ones.
I like, now that the Remington 770 is like less available, I'm not getting quite so many people who are pissed at me and giving me ignorant comments on my like very popular video on it, but we get so many on this.
Oh, that's awesome.
And people who assume that you don't know what you're talking about, like you don't know shotguns that very well. You don't know, you're shouldering it too hard.
Well, I remember there was a comment maybe a month ago, and it's like laughing about the opposite, saying like comparing my shoulder to a brick wall. I just love how different extremes they go. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I explained it all in there, and including a lot of the stuff that people try to correct on in this, I do actually explain in the video. So whatever, it's entertaining. Another one for that video. I have the same gun, never had any problems with it cycling light loads. Or he says, are any loads. I think he means or any loads. And I mean, you will have, it depends on how light you go.
Yeah, go pick up a 7/8 light load on there. Yeah, see how that does. It's not going to cycle.
No, it's not. Gas gun won't cycle that. But
no.
Yeah, I don't know if I've actually tried that with Versamax. But no, they don't.
7/8?
Yeah, no, they're not going to cycle out of a Versamax.
I don't think so. I've managed to cycle 1 ounce out of my like A5 and that kind of thing, but that's as light as I'll go. And even then, I don't go that light. I shoot ounce and an eighth because I need to knock stuff over in 3-gun. I don't need to use the lightest shot possible.
And as I say in that video, I wasn't there was some interesting things with that shotgun. After some work, I got my Benelli M2, an inertia gun to cycle 1 ounce, 1100 foot pound or 1100 foot per second loads after some work. And there were some things with that shotgun that, hey, let's see if it will actually do it. But I mean, oh, maybe a break-in, something. I don't know. But they are entertaining comments usually. Gersan MC 312 review and deep dive. Sam Masick says you guys need to do a TNA VR 66 12 gauge comparison to the Benelli M2. It looks like an exact copy. And I would
Those were on
absolutely
sale,
love.
right?
Yeah, I was actually looking at those. I had to reboot, but
Not
one
not on
interesting
sale
thing.
anymore. It's just the weekend.
They were on. No, I was just on their website today. They were on for
really?
$850.
Oh no, they were cheaper than that.
Oh, okay. Because they're normally like
Yeah.
9 something, but they were on for just
No,
over
they
800
were like-
bucks.
They were 5 something.
Ooh,
Yeah.
like 50% off.
Yeah, they're on for $829 right now, but on the
Yeah.
weekend,
So is this a shotgun that TNA actually got built, or what was the deal with that?
yes, it's a Turk shotgun. They had it at 550
Wow.
bucks on
Wow.
the weekend.
I would love to get my hands
Now-
on one to try, but 2 things. Well, one big thing, it only comes in 18.5 or 30-inch barrel. You can choose between a tactical pistol grip stock, which I don't recommend, or a classic stock, but you can only get it 30-inch or 18.5-inch barrel.
I think 18 and a half, as long as it ran
Well, you gotta choke
on
up
it, would
more.
be
You gotta,
okay.
well, you gotta choke up one more than people usually, like a 21 to 26-inch barrel.
And
That's
it
all.
wouldn't swing as nicely on clays, but it would be faster and it would be like handier in close.
Yeah.
Uh,
For Canada, yeah. If
Mhm.
like shooting down the States where you got a 10 or 12 round tube, granted I did that up in Canada as well. I just had it riveted or plugged. There's no, like, I bought a 24-inch barrel for my Benelli because I wanted shorter than the 26, and then I put a big long tube on it, which kind of, besides a little bit of weight savings, negates going with a shorter barrel.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
But
that's a nice
yeah.
choke set they include with this thing.
yeah,
Did you take a look at that?
external chokes or extra, yeah. It is
Man, I'm
very
thinking maybe I
intriguing for
should've
the
got
price,
one.
and I don't know if True North would actually can ship that down here for me to put it side by side with the M2.
They're gonna it's gonna be a Turkish clone. So there's gonna be a Turkish clone, and the MC312 might be the same damn action for all we know. Although that doesn't look the same.
Well, the MC312, the trigger group, like, it was very similar, but it was not. It wasn't completely interchangeable.
I don't know if this would be interchangeable at all. Do they claim that? Patterned off an original M2. It's patterned. It's not like
Yeah.
compliant. They're not saying you can like swap it. Yeah, you'd need someone with an M2 to like actually. Oh, it says compatible with most aftermarket Benelli M2 parts.
Yeah, so that's handy right there.
Yeah.
Hey, I like
You
the
need to put a tube
port
on it.
cutout, but I think it needs to be sloped more. It's forward enough, but it needs to be sloped more. It's rather abrupt at the end.
Yeah.
But, I mean, very intrigued.
So you're saying I should have bought one when they were $550?
Yes, I would have, yes.
Okay, well, that's a good deal. You gotta let me know. You just say, Angel, it's a good deal. You gotta buy it.
You're the one that saw the price.
I know. I looked at it. I looked at it.
You
Like,
should
yeah,
say, "Hey,
that's
Kyle, is this a good
interesting,
price?"
I got a
Should I do
Gersan
it?
MC312 over here, and I got my A5 that I'm really gonna run. So like, why am I buying this other shotgun? But yeah, now that I look at it, maybe. Anyways, where's that
That is it
put us?
that's the end of the YouTube comments.
Got it. Okay. Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, we've been covering whatever people have
Well,
been mentioning
Mike,
here.
or not Mike, sorry, Tony had brought one up, and so you saying I was drinking the Dutch beer, but I am not. It is the Mexican Dos Equis.
You're close. You're in New Mexico. It's practically Mexico, so you have
Well,
to drink
yeah.
Dos Equis, right?
It's hard to find a restaurant here that isn't Mexican. So
I love it. Oh, I would love that so much. I love Mexican food. So good.
I do too, but it does get tiring after every
Nope.
day.
No. No. You eat it every day. Gonna learn to love it.
Oh, I do love it. Yes.
Yeah. All right. People bought some stuff. Okay, so we got this Cabela's link on the side of our website, and some people bought some stuff in August. I'm gonna go through it. Some of the stuff they bought multiples of. Cabela's Outfitter XL minus 18 degrees C sleeping bag. Someone's gonna do some winter hunting camping, maybe. The Cabela's pocket knife and flashlight combo. Someone bought like 6 or 7 of these things. They're giving them away for gifts. They bought them on sale. I approve. Very frugal. Herter's Target handgun ammo. Again, they must have had a deal. Someone bought a pile of those. And Winchester 9mm centerfire pistol ammo. Someone bought a pile of those as well. Oh, Tony mentions that there's some team names on Discord now.
Oh yes, there were.
Did you see them?
I did.
We didn't get 'em. Is it on there?
I got them.
Where is it?
They're under general.
Well, go ahead then.
Okay, so Tony had a couple ideas. He asked if Colin was a father yet, and yes, he is. And his suggestion was 2 dads, bad jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one's supposed to be a jab at me. Suggestion: I'd rather be in New Mexico.
But I would be, especially like mid-October in Peace River. Yeah, I would rather be in New Mexico. Your weather's going to be way nicer than ours.
Probably still be wearing shorts by then.
Yeah, I put my shorts away already.
Oh,
It's like overnight. Nope.
yeah.
pants
September
wetting
comes. That's it.
Yeah. Anyways, if anyone out there wants to buy something from Cabela's, we have an affiliate link on there. Oh, I got an affiliate set up with Amazon, and I finally got approved on that thing. So if we wanted to do anything with Amazon, we can do that there too.
Nice.
But we'll only do stuff that we actually buy or that we used ourselves. Anywho, thanks to our supporters on Patreon and Player. If you'd like to support us, head on over there. If you'd like to email the show, send an email over to slamfireradio@gmail.com. We'll probably read it. Shout outs and recommendations.
Well, I'll shout out Team Canada for their awesome job at Worlds. It was a different match style, and it was good to see that they still mostly did good. And I mean, you have your issues that you would normally expect at a new style event. So,
Yeah. It sounds like it was a fun time. Cool. Well, or if you'd like to join our Discord server, we've got that link on our website, and we'll probably put it in the side chat here as well if you want to click over there. Discord's kind of like the new chat thing. It's kind of like Reddit, but better. More servers, all that kind of stuff. Watch us on Facebook, YouTube, and Player. Join the CCFR, and we will see you next week.
see you next week.